Hello there. At around 11 p.m. on May 11th, 2013, the on-duty police in Ganzhou City, Jiangxi Province, China, received a phone call from a resident reporting that his 25-year-old daughter, Wang Chaorui, had been missing for 2 days. After receiving the report, the police went to the man's house to investigate the situation. Rui's father, Wang Lin, stated that in the afternoon of May 9th, around 4 p.m. before finishing work, Rui had called home. At that time, he asked if she would be home for dinner, and she replied affirmatively. However, a little later, she called her mother and said she would be dining out with friends and would not be eating at home. Since Rui often had dinner out, the family thought nothing of it. That evening, they waited until past 10 p.m., but Rui still had not returned, so her mother, anxious, called her again only to find that her phone was turned off. She reassured herself that perhaps her daughter's phone battery had died. However, the next morning, Rui still had not returned, so her parents called her workplace, only to be told by her colleagues that she had not come in. Rui's parents called around to friends and acquaintances to ask if anyone had seen her, but no one had any information. After nearly 2 days of searching without success, Rui's mother remembered the red car her daughter had recently bought and shuddered at the thought that she might have been robbed and harmed. She urged her husband to call the police. Based on the family's statement, the police formed 2 groups to investigate. One group collected data from all the cameras along the route between Rui's workplace and home, while the other group investigated her social relationships for useful information. The missing person, Wang Chaorui, 25 years old, worked as an accountant for a car showroom. Her family and economic background were ordinary, with her parents being retired workers. From the information provided by Rui's relatives, the police learned that her personal life was quite simple, mainly consisting of going to work and returning home, with very little social interaction. Rui was an introverted and gentle young person. At work, she was very sociable, professionally competent, always completed her tasks, and had no conflicts with her colleagues. After considering Rui's family background and situation, the police ruled out kidnapping for ransom and had not identified any suspicious individuals. The investigation had yet to yield any clues to solve the case. The most pressing question was where Rui went, whom she met, and why she changed her mind about having dinner at home after leaving the work on May 9th. The police immediately checked the telecommunications records of Rui's calls and messages before she went missing and discovered a double call between the times she contacted her family. The identity of the man who made these calls was quickly determined. His name was Zhang Quen, a driver for the military engineering office in Chongyi County. When the police arrived to investigate, Yun stated that he had a romantic relationship with Rui, but her parents strongly opposed it. The reason was that he was not financially well off, his family was underprivileged, and he had to take care of his elderly parents who did not have pensions. Fearing that their daughter would struggle if she married him, Rui's family arranged for her to meet other people with better financial backgrounds. Despite the family's disapproval, the two continued to date secretly. On the afternoon of May 9th, the day Rui went missing, she and her boyfriend had arranged to meet in Chongyi County, where Zhang Quen worked. Knowing that her parents were unhappy with this relationship, Rui only mentioned that she was going out for dinner with friends. Around 7 p.m., June called Rui again, but she said she was getting her hair done and would arrive a little later. The police found the hair salon, and the staff confirmed June's account, as Rui had been at the salon around 7 p.m. and left at 8 p.m. The police immediately checked the cameras around the hair salon area and discovered that 2 cameras had captured footage at 8:05 p.m. on May 9th, showing Rui driving her red car into a supermarket parking lot. Through the supermarket's surveillance camera, the police saw Rui dressed in a stylish office outfit and carrying a handbag. She bought 2 bottles of red wine and then went to the fast food counter to purchase some food. About half an hour later, she left the supermarket and seemingly vanished. According to Zhang Quen, on the night of May 9th, he waited for his girlfriend until late, but did not meet her. Feeling worried, he continuously called Rui, but her phone was turned off. June thought Rui might have encountered some misfortune on the way. Given the information that the two had planned to meet in Chongyi, the police retrieved a large number of street surveillance videos from Ganzhou to Chongyi to track Rui's red car, but found no relevant clues. Instead, the police discovered another event. A car with the military technical department's license plate driven by Zhang Quen was seen traveling from Chongyi towards Ganzhou. At 3 a.m., Zhang Quen was driving very fast on empty roads, seemingly in a hurry. It was clear that he had arranged for his girlfriend to come from Ganzhou to Chongyi for dinner. Yet on that very night, he hurriedly drove from Chongyi to Ganzhou. Why? Was Zhang Quen involved in Wang Chaorui's disappearance? And why did he not inform the police about his trip to Ganzhou on the night Rui went missing? Once again, the police interrogated Zhang Quen. This time he explained that after his girlfriend did not show up for their meeting, he was so worried that he drove from Chongyi to Ganzhou, fearing she might have had an accident on the way. It was a work vehicle and a colleague accompanied him on the highway from Chongyi to Ganzhou. On the way, besides driving and observing, he also called the local traffic police to inquire if any accidents had occurred. Since Zheng Quen was using his work vehicle for personal matters, he would certainly face disciplinary action if discovered, so he concealed his trip to Ganzhou that night and did not report it to the police. The police approached the colleague who had accompanied him, and he confirmed that Zheng Quen's statement was true. Furthermore, the police requested to retrieve call records from the highway traffic police on the night of May 9th. The traffic police confirmed that Zheng Quen did indeed call to inquire if there had been any traffic accidents from evening to night on May 9th. Thus, Zheng Quen essentially had no time to commit the crime. The case gradually fell into a deadlock due to the lack of other clues, but Zheng Quen suddenly provided the police with a new lead. He mentioned that before dating him, Rui had been in a relationship with another man, but they had broken up. This man had tried to reconcile multiple times, but Rui had firmly refused. The police narrowed down the phone numbers that had contacted Rui and found this man. His name was Gao Lang, 28 years old, an IT employee at a software company in Ganzhou. The two met when Gao Lang bought a car at the showroom where Rui worked. The police went to Gao Lang's workplace, but the manager said he had resigned a few days ago. From Gao Lang's company records, the police went to his house, but the door was locked, and neighbors reported not seeing him for several days. At this point, Gao Lang became the prime suspect because he also disappeared after Rui went missing. However, the police unexpectedly received a call from Gao Lang when he saw a missed call from them. In the conversation, Gao Lang stated that he had quit his job and moved in with a new girlfriend he met online in Zhejiang. Moreover, he had left Ganzhou on May 7th, 2 days before Rui disappeared. The police investigated and confirmed that Gao Lang did indeed leave Ganzhou on May 7th, as he had claimed. With leads from both of Rui's boyfriends falling through, the police continued to interrogate other individuals who had contacted Rui and focused their investigation on the time she went missing, but they did not obtain any promising information. The crucial point was that Rui had arranged to meet her boyfriend in Chongyi, but she did not appear on the highway to Chongyi. So where did she go? After several thorough checks, investigators discovered that Rui's car had passed a surveillance camera near the toll station of Ganzhou City. The surveillance camera showed that Rui's car did not head towards Chongyi, as planned, but went in the direction of Hubian. However, due to the darkness and the blurry camera, it was impossible to see how many people were in the car or even who was driving. The only thing that could be determined was that at 9:30 p.m. that night, after passing several street cameras, Rui's red car was speeding, overtaking several cars in the same direction and eventually lost when nearing Hubian town. Notably, Rui had no acquaintances or relatives in Hubian, so why did she go there? Was the driver Rui, or had someone else overpowered her and driven the car there? Half a month had passed and Rui's whereabouts remained a mystery, with even her car still missing. The police decided to post reward notices everywhere to find Rui and the red car, and also posted the information on social media, hoping to leverage the power of social networks for the search. Not long after the post was published, a young man around 20 years old came to the police station to report. He said that on that day in the supermarket parking lot he saw a red Honda Civic and a woman dressed in business attire with shoulder-length hair matching the description on the notice. There was an incident that made a strong impression on him, and he still remembered it clearly. Around 8:30 p.m. on May 9th, while he was sitting in his car using his phone waiting for his girlfriend to finish shopping, his car happened to be parked right behind the red car. The red car was about 8 meters away from his, so he saw a pretty young woman dressed elegantly approaching the red car. She opened the trunk and put in the 2 paper bags she had just bought in the supermarket. Just as she finished and was about to get into the driver's seat, a young man opened the passenger door and got into the car. He couldn't see the man's face clearly because it was dark and rainy, but he remembered that the man was somewhat slim and small. At that moment, he felt something was not quite right, because the man's actions were unusually quick, not like those of 2 people familiar with each other getting into a car together. As he was observing, his girlfriend came out of the supermarket, and he reversed the car to leave. However, thinking back, he found the situation a bit odd, so he drove slowly forward, intentionally glancing back at the red car. At this point, he saw the man using both hands to hold the woman, and she was clinging to his shoulders, looking somewhat like a couple. His girlfriend commented that they were probably a couple being affectionate in the car and suggested not to look and just leave. He didn't think much more about it and continued to drive away. It wasn't until he saw the post about Rui in the red car that he recalled what he had witnessed. That night, the incident in the car might not have been what they thought. Perhaps the man was not holding the woman but strangling her, and she was not clinging to him but trying to push him away. So was that woman Rui? Based on the information provided by the witness, investigators went to the parking spot and retrieved video footage from the surveillance camera. Although the angle was far and dark, they identified the car as Wang Chao Rui's. However, the angle was too obscure to clearly see the strange man in the car. While the footage didn't add much valuable information, the timing revealed something unusual. From the time Rui opened the door and got into the car at 8:34 p.m. to the time the car left at 9 p.m., 25 minutes had passed. So what exactly happened during those 25 minutes? Based on the camera footage and the witness report, the police concluded that the mysterious man who got into Rui's car was the prime suspect. This was also the reason Rui's plans changed that night. Who was he and where is Rui? No one knows the current whereabouts of Rui or her red car. As the days passed without finding the culprit, the case weighed heavily on Rui's family, who felt more heartbroken each day, and also on the investigators, who grew increasingly anxious and frustrated with the slow progress. On June 5, 2013, nearly a month after Rui's disappearance, the criminal investigation team received another report from a local resident. He had seen a red car parked on a deserted road near the steel market. The man reported that he noticed the red car because it had no license plate and was covered in dust, as if someone had deliberately removed the plates and abandoned it near the steel market on Qinghai Avenue, Gangtai Town. Upon receiving the report, investigators quickly arrived at the scene and found a red Honda Civic with both front and rear license plates removed. After a preliminary investigation, the police confirmed that this was Wang Chao Rui's car. The vehicle was covered in dust, and the tires were rusted, indicating it had been parked there for some time. To gather more clues, the police conducted a thorough inspection of the car and found feng shui decorations stuffed into the storage compartment behind the seat. Rui's driver's license and her company's seal were also found in the car. 2 bottles of red wine were found in the trunk, and a square white button still attached with thread was found in the crevice of the seat. Rui's parents confirmed that this button was from the shirt she was wearing on the day she disappeared. The fallen button suggested that Rui had struggled with the stranger in the car, causing the button to be torn off during the scuffle. Although the car had been carefully cleaned, the police still found some faint traces on the car seat. DNA analysis revealed that the bloodstains belonged to Wang Chao Rui, suggesting she had likely been murdered. The car was parked in a relatively hidden and rarely frequented location, and if the post hadn't been widely shared, it might have taken much longer for someone to discover it. The police determined that whoever abandoned the car there must be familiar with the area. After collecting surrounding surveillance videos, they concluded that the car was left at 11:27 p.m. on May 9th. Discovering the missing car provided a breakthrough in the investigation, as it yielded substantial evidence. The most crucial clue was that, after meticulously examining the car, the police found the DNA of a man on the front passenger seat and in the glove compartment. This DNA sample was immediately sent to the forensic lab for testing. While awaiting results, the police continued to investigate the scene. Analysis of the car's route revealed that it drove straight to Gangtai Town, Hubian County, on a path suggesting intimate knowledge of the area, as it took the most direct and efficient route. This indicated that the driver was very familiar with the region. The police centered their search on Gangtai Town, canvassing a 2-kilometer radius and collecting DNA samples from local men who met specific criteria, knowing how to drive, working in or frequently visiting Ganzhou City, aged 20 to 40. Ultimately, the police gathered 330 DNA samples from different men. On the morning of June 27th, over a month and a half after Rui's disappearance, a resident working on irrigation reported finding a body in a ditch. The area was very desolate, with sparse vegetation, and the ditch had an embankment resembling a concealed bunker where the victim's body was discarded, making it difficult to find. A forensic doctor determined that the victim was a woman aged 25 to 30 whose body had severely decomposed, with an estimated time of death about 45 days prior. The body had shoulder-length brown hair and wore a white shirt and black trousers similar to the business attire Wang Chao Rui was seen wearing in the supermarket video. The subsequent DNA analysis confirmed that the body was indeed Wang Chao Rui. The cause of death was determined to be strangulation, with clear signs of asphyxiation present on the body. While the police were urgently investigating, a report from the lab revealed that the DNA found on the car matched a profile in the National DNA Database. At this time, the National DNA Database was still being built, and priority was given to storing DNA from individuals with a criminal record, regardless of the severity of their crimes. The matching profile belonged to a man named Wang Chaoqiang, 36 years old. He had previously worked as a loader at the Gangtai steel market and had a criminal record for theft. The police promptly tracked down and arrested him. A blood sample from him was sent for comparison, and it was confirmed that the DNA from Chiang matched the DNA found in Rui's car. The investigating officers noted that Wang Chaoqiang's usual workplace was very close to where Rui's car had been abandoned, and his home was just over a kilometer from where her body was discovered. Faced with irrefutable evidence, Wang Chaoqiang confessed to his crime. He recounted that on that rainy day he had been wandering around Guangzhou with the intention of stealing, but hadn't found any opportunity. He targeted women believing they were easier to overpower. At around 8:20 p.m., while wandering through the supermarket parking lot, he spotted Rui. Seeing her well-dressed, he decided to rob her. As soon as Rui got into her car, he quickly opened the door and sat in the front passenger seat. Startled by the intruder, Rui screamed and demanded to know what he wanted, insisting he get out of her car. Chiang told her he only wanted money and would leave immediately after getting it, promising not to hurt her. Rui said she had no money and demanded he get out, but Chiang noticed a handbag in the back seat. He reached for it to check its contents, but Rui pushed him away and grabbed the bag, shouting at him to leave. This instinctive resistance frightened Chiang. Fearing she would draw attention, he tried to cover her mouth and telling her to be quiet. His actions, however, only heightened her panic, causing her to scream louder and struggle more violently. Terrified and unsure what to do, Chiang tightened his grip until Rui stopped moving. After killing Rui, Chiang was overwhelmed with panic, having escalated from a petty thief to a murderer. He sat in the car staring at her body for over 20 minutes before calming down. Then he drove her car to a secluded ditch near his home and disposed of her body, hoping to delay its discovery. He believed that the longer the body remained hidden, the harder it would be to trace the crime back to him. He removed the license plates, thoroughly cleaned the car, and then abandoned it on the roadside near the steel market. He removed all the feng shui decorations from the car and stored them away to prevent anyone familiar with Rui from recognizing the vehicle. Wang Chaoqiang passed by the car daily, discreetly observing it, but noticed no changes. A whole month passed, and he began to think he had gotten away with his crime. However, the act of removing and hiding the license plates to avoid detection ultimately drew attention. According to Wang Chaoqiang's confession after the incident, he only managed to take 400 yuan from Rui's handbag. Chiang recounted that he previously worked as a driver and loader at the steel market, earning 2,000 yuan per month. Being small and weak, the 2,000 yuan monthly salary barely covered the living expenses for 3 people. Chiang had an 80-year-old mother and a 2-year-old child to care for. His wife had left because she couldn't endure the poverty, leaving him to earn money to support his elderly mother and young child. His mother's constant illness made their lives even more challenging. Chiang always hoped for a better paying and easier job. However, the life of crime did not lead to a better income for Wang Chaoqiang. Instead, it resulted in a heinous crime that left his mother and child without their sole provider. Indeed, Wang Chaoqiang's situation was one of poverty and hardship, but resorting to theft and violence is not a justified solution to any difficult circumstance. If everyone in tough situations chose to steal, society would descend into chaos, wouldn't it? As for the victim Rui, she was unfortunately in the wrong place at the wrong time, encountering a robber who brutally murdered her. However, Rui lacked the experience to handle such dangerous situations. Alone and in an enclosed space with the robber, she faced an extremely perilous scenario. In such a situation, instead of trying to retrieve her bag, she should have taken the opportunity to escape while the robber was reaching for it in the back seat. The key point to remember in robbery situations is to prioritize your safety above all else. Money can be replaced, your life cannot. How do you feel about today's case? Leave a comment so we can discuss. And if you liked it, don't hesitate to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to support us. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.